Alright, alright. Back in the mix. Back in the mix. Alright, Overwatch. I'll play a couple games, and then we're off to vibe coding. Cool. Oh, shoot. I can manage channel directly from my phone. Hell yeah. Creator dashboard. Let's go. I think I can skip the tutorial. Cool, cool. Yeah, I'll just leave that right here. Ah, that's a whole ass setup now. Cool. Alright. Am I not in the game? Alright. Um, is it gonna put me in the game now? Alright, cool. Glacio. I'll play Ryan. I think this game came back to life, and I'm loving it. I wonder if I'm also able to join the game chat as well. Yeah. Damn, my sense is so different from Valorant. I got Shatter. Damn. Damn. Oh shit. I got shattering. Thank you, Zen. What in the hell was that? Oh, we see 9. Oh, they see 9. Be real. I think Overwatch it did revive. It did resurrect. But I don't know what happened. I think the community's a little bit shy now. There's like no one hopping in voice chat. And I'm okay talking to myself. It's just that not like during game. Alright. Vibe coding 101. Yes. Alright, we need a new video source. Let me hot swap this. Window capture. Opera. Vibe coding. Cool. Boom. Love having a standing desk. Now I need to check if the desktop that goes through.
I'm excited to introduce
Hey,
Vibe
it
Coding
does.
101 with Rapid,
Hell yeah.
built in partnership with.
Alright. And let's get some notes. Yep. I am not sure what I'm going to be building yet, but I do have ideas. All I have is ideas right now, so let's turn at least one of those into reality. I'm gonna start with a tutorial I was recommended on how to use this new vibe coding software, and I believe it's pretty powerful. That's what I've heard. I'm gonna put up another window so you can see my notes. Window, 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 window. Notepad. Hmm. I don't even know where to put this. I don't know, like top left? That looks horrible for the stream. Where do I put this? Over me? I'll put it right under me. Now you know I'll be taking notes. Alright. Yep, that looks good. Alright, no more Overwatch. Time to get down to business. Vibe coding for the future. So, if you tuned into my last stream or watched a little bit of that, of the VOD, one aspect of, this new future economy that we're in, this digital renaissance that we're in, one tool that we're able to leverage is code. But if you don't know how to use code, I mean, like, develop it yourself, you're severely limited on what you can do. Even like understanding the high level concepts, that will do wonders for what you're able to do. So let's get this started. Let me enroll. Yep. Yep, have my info. Yeah. Job title? I don't know. Let's just say entrepreneur. Alright, where are the modules? Intro, principles of agentic code development, planning and building, and SEO analyzer. Interesting. implementing SEO analysis features. SEO is search engine optimization. So Google is a search engine. People have their own websites. SEO is basically the process of getting your website up the rankings above the other websites in like a given search. So let's say you had a real estate agency in a specific area, let's say New York. Let's say someone's looking for a house, you want a house in New York, you want your website to pop up the top. Because people only look at, like the first three, if at all, first three spots. And if, one of those are good, one of those are going to get clicked on. If not, like the first page. Usually people don't search for, second, third, fourth, fifth page unless they're looking for something specific. Planning and building a voting app. Okay, so it takes us on a few tutorials that are hands-on. I love that. Okay, cool, cool. All right, let's start.
Welcome to Vibe Coding 101 with Replit, built in partnership with Replit. In this course, you learn how to code with an AI agent using Replit. Replit provides a cloud environment that allows you to build, host, and share apps. And Replit recently added a very popular coding agent that makes generating and hosting web-based applications fast. Coding agents are changing how we write codes. I still do a fair amount of software development myself, but now find that I count on LMs to write most of the code for me. I'll typically take a problem and partition it into manageable blocks, and then spend time creating a prompt describing what I want and use the model to produce the code one module at a time. And this type of process is making me and many others much more and certainly much faster developers. I do want to note that as Replit is a cloud-hosted environment, we're unable to present the course on our usual platform, and so this is a video-only course. If you watch only the videos, you learn the key concepts behind using coding agents, as well as the process of using LMs to write code, sometimes with you barely looking at the code itself, which some now call vibe coding. If, outside of watching the videos, you want to use Replit, you have to create a user account there. I'm delighted that instructors for this course are Michele Catasta, who's president of Replit, as well as Matt Palmer, who's head of developer relations.
Thanks, Andrew. We're really excited to present this course.
So, Michele,
I'll be real. That sounds like the most deep fake AI type response ever to that guy, but we'll roll.
tell me, how have you seen development change with the rise of AI coding agents?
Well, Rapid eliminates many of the barriers that prevent users from building and deploying applications. First of all, Rapid provides a powerful code editor and a universal package manager, so you don't need to struggle with installation of Python and JavaScript packages. Source control is powered by Git, but we made it as seamless as possible for our users. And also, Rapid offers built-in key-value stores, databases, and deployment.
Alright, so a bunch of these terms are new, so, that's why I'm going to write these notes. Just kind of like understand what
And
I'm
we're really
working
excited
with.
to present this course.
So, Michele, tell me, how have you seen development change with the rise of AI coding agents?
Well, Rapid eliminates many of the barriers that prevent users from building and deploying applications. First of all, Rapid provides a powerful code editor and a universal package manager, so you don't need to struggle with installation.
Universal Package Manager. My understanding of what this means, so let's say that you're using a programming language. I'm most familiar with Python. So within using Python, there are certain libraries that you can use which are essentially add-ons to that sort of software. And it seems like Replit kind of, helps you manage just those things too. So, okay, let's continue.
Of Python and JavaScript packages.
Oh, and
Source
JavaScript.
control is powered by Git, but we made it as seamless as possible
Uses
for our
Git.
users. And also, Rapid offers built-in key-value stores, databases, and deployment solutions. But now, with
Cool.
Rapid Agent, every person with no coding experience can create apps and deploy them in public. It will take you only a few minutes to start. Even if you did not know many of the terms I just used, you can still build an application. Matt will show exactly how to do it in this course.
So a popular term today is vibe coding, where you lean into letting the coding agent do most of the heavy lifting. We'll maximize the capabilities of the agent, but we'll also show how some planning can improve your results. Along the way, you'll learn some tips and tricks to get the best results possible from our agent. We'll start by building a search engine optimization or SEO analyzer. This is a basic app that will get us started and introduce some key concepts. Then, you'll build a head-to-head voting app, which will showcase data extraction and storage. Throughout the course, we'll learn the basic building blocks of web apps. I think you're going to be surprised at just how much you can build. I know I certainly have been.
Tone your intuition on how to use a coding agent. Michaela will also share some of the details behind how Replit is built. I hope some of these lessons that they learned building Replit, which is itself a sophisticated agentic workflow, will also convey useful insights for how you might.
I also hope I'm not breaking any rules with like showing this, but I don't know. This is public. I didn't really have to pay to get this info. We'll roll.
Approach building other agentic
guess strike,
AI
I guess strike.
applications.
Yes, we learned quite a bit in the last year, and I'm very happy to share it.
Many people have worked to create this course. I'd like to thank from deeplearning.ai, Hara Salami and Jeff Lodway. All right, let's get started with the first lesson.
Let's roll.
Before we start, I want to share with you a few tips on how to become a successful app creator with Replit Agent. So, first of all, be precise.
Principles of good vibing. Precision is key. But what does that mean? Why is it key?
Make sure to give Replit Agent one task at a time. If you have a complex task in mind, break it down into smaller pieces. Otherwise, you will soon find out that handling multiple complex tasks at once can be really challenging for today's coding agents. On a similar note, make your prompts specific and detailed. Much like human developers, coding agents work best when they receive clear and unambiguous instructions. Next, be well organized. I want you to keep your project as tidy as possible. Add features step by step, test thoroughly after each edition, and don't hesitate to roll back when something breaks. Then, you always want to start with a fresh session for each new feature. In this way, it will be easier to go back to what was working well before. And last but not least, do not hesitate to return to your last working version.
Precision is key.
When they receive clear and unambiguous instructions.
I'm gonna be real, I'm not too much of a note taker, but I will jot these things down, just kind of cement it.
If you have a complex task in mind, break it down into smaller pieces. Otherwise, you will soon find out that handling multiple complex tasks at once can be really challenging for today's coding agents. On a similar note, make your prompts specific and detailed. Much like human developers, coding agents work best when they receive clear and unambiguous instructions. Next, be well organized. I want you to keep your project as tidy as possible. Add features step by step, test thoroughly after each edition, and don't hesitate to roll back when something breaks. Then, you always want to start with a fresh session for
Test features. Okay, I've never done something like that, but we'll see. Test features before going to the next. Roll back when something breaks. That makes sense. Start with a fresh session with each new feature. Okay. Not too sure what that means for now, but we'll find it out. That might be to clear the memory of the agent, maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
for each new feature. In this way, it will be easier to go back to what was working well before. And last but not least, do not hesitate to return to your last working version. If you keep piling up unstable code and features, most likely you will end up with a mess that will hinder you from making steady progress.
Okay.
And now, the most important recommendation: be patient.
Patience.
Even if you're not technical, do your best to build an understanding of the app and its components as you go. Replit Agent explains in detail the rationale behind each action it takes, describing both the thought process and the changes it makes on the code. By reading carefully the output of Replit Agent, you will quickly learn everything about the app that you are creating. So, as a natural follow-up,
Read the output of Replit Agent to learn everything about the app. Yep, that makes sense. I don't think it really makes sense to, get your prompt in and, just take whatever it gives you without even knowing what it really does step by step. Um, and then just keep on adding on that. You will easily get, what they call spaghetti code.
take a moment to review the suggestions before accepting them. On one hand, question things that don't make sense. But on the other hand, trust that Replit Agent might often surprise you with an effective solution to the issue that you're facing. And I can't stress this one enough: be patient while debugging. It's part of the process when developing complex features. Even the best software developers spend most of their time debugging. Replit Agent is getting better on a daily basis, but it's still not perfect. So, allowing it the time to debug with different strategies will make you more successful than you might expect. And now, I'll hand it over to Matt so you can start building with Replit Agent.
In this lesson, we'll explore the Replit platform and its AI-powered tools that accelerate development. You'll learn the fundamental concepts behind effective AI collaboration and key strategies I use when building applications with AI assistance. We'll also familiarize ourselves with Replit and walk through getting set up. First, a bit about me. I'm Matt. I head up developer relations at Replit. You can find me on social, on X, or on YouTube at these QR codes. And really, we're just going to jump right into getting started. So, first, it's important to talk about really what vibe coding is and what it is today. And so, right, when we talk about vibe coding, it's typically leaning into our AI agents, our AI tools, to rely on writing the code rather than write it ourselves. What that means is that there's a large jump in productivity, and a lot of people have seen that they're able to build applications they never were able to create before. And that means it can take you from an idea that lives in your head to a real application deployed on the web. That's something that Replit helps out with quite a bit. But fundamentally, what we've seen is that vibe coding is limited by the developer experience. And if you haven't heard the term developer experience before, or if you're not a professional software developer, don't worry. It just means the experience of developing applications, or the tools, the techniques, and the environments that developers use to build things. And so those tools can be intimidating, which is what we're going to cover today: how to make the most of those tools, get started building applications, and again, create the best apps possible. But more importantly, vibe coding has its gotchas. And those are things we're going to cover today. We're going to cover ways of planning and thinking logically to get around some of those limitations and fundamentally produce better results. So, in this course, we're going to use AI to build real deployed apps. We're going to learn why tooling is important and how to make the most of the tools that we're using. We're also going to learn how to communicate with AI, because there's some fundamental skills that can help you, again, make the most of this tooling. And it is just that. It's a tool. But
use AI to build real deployed apps. Learn why tooling is important. Learn how to communicate with AI. Gain skills for effective building.
it requires some knowledge, and there can be a bit of a learning curve to understand how to communicate with AI.
Yeah.
And finally, we're going to gain skills for effective building that you're going to be able to take from this course and apply to every area of your life. You're going to be able to automate things that you don't want to do, or create things that you didn't think were possible, or make your job more efficient, or make your life more efficient. I've seen those things in my own life, and that's why I'm really excited to share them. That's why I'm really grateful for what I get to do for a living. But first, we're going to talk a bit about what Replit is and how AI tools fit into our platform. So you can think about Replit as the environment, and then on top of Replit, we have Agent, which is our automated developer, and Assistant, which is our tool for rapid edits and chat. So Replit is a unique environment. It's different from other tools that you've probably used in the past. So if you've ever had to write code or install a code editor, you know that there's a lot of setup that's required. You have to download this thing, install it on your computer, and that doesn't even include installing packages, configuring languages, configuring your environment. It can be a real headache. So Replit has no installation. It runs entirely in your browser in one tab,
That sounds
and it
like good
includes
news.
AI tools for every step of the way. But more than just handling packages and languages and being zero setup, it also has everything you need to build full stack applications. That includes databases, object storage, authentication, a whole host of other tools and services. And so from there, you can deploy those apps in just a few clicks, which is what we're going to see today. And so the reason that Replit's really powerful is because you don't have to spend time worrying about setup. That's going to allow us to move really quickly in this course. And I hope you think so too. Now, on top of Replit, we've built Agent, or Replit Agent, and that's our automated developer. It allows you to build and configure an entire project from scratch with just your voice, generate and build a plan for your project, as we'll see today, and make complex multi-step changes to your code. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Replit Assistant, which is our more lightweight tool for chat and quick edits. So with Assistant, you can chat with AI about any topic, request quick one-off edits to code, and ask questions about your project. So what we'll see today is a pretty common pattern, is using Agent to kind of scaffold out a project, get things to an MVP state, get things working, and then flipping to Assistant to really dial in that functionality and build out the rest of your project. And so one more thing to call out before we jump into our whiteboarding session and talk about some basics of prompting and vibe coding, which is going to follow largely from what Michaela has already discussed. One important piece to mention is that Replit has a free tier, and we'll be able to use the free tier for most, if not all, of this course. You'll be able to register for free on Replit. Your first project, you have up to 3 free projects on Replit, which fits into the free tier, and you get a number of credits and checkpoints to use Agent and Assistant without having to pay. More than that, all concepts in this course are completely applicable not only to Replit, but any situation you find yourself building with AI, building with these newer tools. And so there's plenty to learn, plenty to take away, and I think you're going to get a lot out of this course. And now we'll jump into a whiteboarding session, and I'm going to break down some concepts in building that I think are particularly useful for AI and Replit generally. So now we're going to walk through 5 skills in vibe coding that I've thought a lot about and have really helped me take my apps to the next level. Those are thinking, frameworks, checkpoints, debugging, and context. We're going to keep these short, we're going to keep them straightforward, but what I want you to do is keep these in the back of your head as we start to build out these projects and start to notice some of these patterns and notice some of these concepts so that in the future you can really dial in your apps. I think building with AI, vibe coding, is a brand new concept. And so the best way to learn it is by doing it, and by taking courses like these, and by experimenting on your own. So now we're going to talk a bit about thinking, and hopefully this is something you've been doing for most of your life. I know there are periods where I don't think much, but I've been trying to work on that. And we can break down thinking
I'm a
into
big thinker.
a bit of a hierarchy. Now, logical thinking is really important. We're going to compare this to a game of chess. Now, thinking logically, that might be like asking questions, what is the game of chess? Or actually playing the game. That gets a bit more into analytical thinking. And most of you are probably familiar with analytical thinking. Breaking down games, learning how to play them well, breaking down problems and learning how to solve them. But the 2 types of thinking I want to introduce when we talk about building with AI are computational thinking and procedural thinking. An example of computational thinking might be, what are the patterns behind the game of chess? And that might lead you to do something like program a computer to enforce the rules of chess. When we build AI applications, we're not just thinking logically, we're actually thinking creatively or thinking computationally about how we can fit a set of logic, which is actually an application, into a complicated problem. A higher level of thinking is procedural thinking, which might be programming a computer to play competitive chess. And that requires us not just to understand the rules of chess and how to program a computer to enforce those rules, but how to program a computer to play something competitively at a high level. And so it really requires us to ask, how do I excel at the game? What are the boundaries of the game and sort of the edge cases that I need to account for in order to build this thing? And then finally, how do I take those things and translate them into code or translate them into natural language for AI to then implement? So next, I want to talk a bit about frameworks. If you don't understand frameworks at a high level, be it languages or packages, don't worry, because this is more conceptual. So the important thing is to start thinking about how your app works. And that follows from what we just talked about in thinking. Start thinking through how your app works, how we're implementing solutions to these problems, and then think about the solutions that already exist, because people have written a lot of code. And the reason AI can write code for you is because it understands the code that people have written. So if you can understand a problem space and start to think through the things that you don't know, maybe that means asking AI, hey, what are common solutions to this problem? Or asking AI, hey, what are some really good packages to help me solve this problem? Then you can understand how to do the thing that you want to, or kind of orient yourself in the problem space. And so that might mean asking AI questions like, what frameworks allow me to do that thing? So for example, if you wanted to implement a drag and drop interface into one of your applications, you could say, help me come up with React frameworks for implementing drag and drop into this application, and then implement one. Interacting with AI in this way is not only a great way to learn how frameworks work and how these things fit into languages, packages, and all of these other structures, but it's also a really great way to get things done faster. And this has been how I affect with or without AI, and it's more common when we're building with AI, as a matter of fact. So it's pretty likely things are going to break in this course. But one really important concept is called version control. And every project in Replit has version control by default. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to worry about it. Because of this, we'll have checkpoints when we're building. First, debugging. As I mentioned, things tend to break. The process of debugging is the process of figuring out why things broke. Now, this might seem a little too straightforward, but I promise that it's worth going over. So if you have a lamp that doesn't work, you might first ask, well, is the lamp plugged in? And if it's not, you'd plug in the lamp. If that doesn't turn out to be the problem, you might ask, well, hey, is the bulb burned out? If it is, well, you replace the bulb. And if it's not, you need to continue debugging or find another way to repair the lamp. And this is exactly the same process that we're going to walk through when we're building applications. Now you might say, hey, that's actually a little boring, but you can really make anything fun. And to me, debugging is really fun when I'm building something that makes me excited or that I know is going to produce a really cool outcome. And so the best debugging is methodical, it's thorough, and it starts from first principles. So the goals in debugging are to first understand how our app works, second, understand where the error is, and then ask ourselves the questions, hey, how can we get to the root of this problem? A final step, and this is kind of a jump, right, is...
So, key pieces of debugging is taking the time to understand how the components that you're developing work together. And then, with that information, especially when you're using code, you can go line by line to see where exactly the error is.
How can we tell the LLM what's wrong so that it fixes our problem? How can we tell the agent what's wrong so that it understands the problem? And that's kind of where context comes into play. So if you've been building with AI, if you've been building with LLMs, you've probably heard the term context window or context. And what do we mean when we say context? Well, the context window is the amount of tokens an LLM can process at a given time. Think about that just like the number of words or the amount of information that you can give to our agent or our model, and it can think about in any kind of one chat instance. I like to think about it kind of like multitasking, right? As a human, if you're asking me to do a bunch of stuff, I might start to lose track of some of the things that you ask me. I might start to forget. And so when we chat with LLMs, a consistent theme is going to be that we need to make sure context is relevant to what we're trying to do. Now, context can be the prompt we provide to the LLM. It can also be images, right? That might be documentation that you provide. We're going to go over some examples of this. It could be errors or details about your app, environment, or preferences. And right, that's what we just talked about in debugging. When we run into errors, we're going to have to try and get those errors into the context of our communication with the LLM so that we can get past those problems. So we can understand what the issue is and move on, or we can get the LLM to fix the work that it was doing. And a really important point is because these AI models, the underlying models that power Replit Agent, might have outdated training data, or they might have been built, months or years ago. We might need to provide additional context, especially if we're doing something new or novel that hasn't been done before, or if we're working with a package or a library or a framework that the model is not an expert on. So, tying that all together, what does that mean for getting to an MVP when we're building with AI? Well, we're going to give AI only the information, we're going to give agent only the information that's relevant to the MVP. We're going to start small, like Michele mentioned, and work our way up to something that's full-featured. And we're going to provide foundational context and important details when we're crafting that first prompt. From there, we're going to start implementing new features. We'll provide context relevant to the new feature. We're going to mention frameworks, provide documentation with explicit point is because these AI models, the underlying models that power Replit agent, might have outdated training data, or they might have been built, months or years ago. We might need to provide additional context, especially if we're doing something new or novel that hasn't been done before, or if we're working with a package or a library or a framework that the model is not an expert on. So, tying that all together. What does that mean for getting to an MVP when we're building with AI? Well, we're going to give AI only the information, we're going to give agent only the information that's relevant to the MVP. We're going to start small, like Michele mentioned, and work.
Okay.
Our way up to something that's full featured. And we're going to provide foundational context and important details when we're crafting that first prompt. From there, we're going to start implementing new features. We'll provide context relevant to the new feature. We're going to mention frameworks, provide documentation with explicit detail on implementation.
Yeah, this isn't really too much different from what I assume it would be like working with another software engineer.
To really make sure that agent really fine with that. And so this is the last thing I have before we get into building. I promise. We can think about our minimum viable product, or MVP, or adding new features to that MVP when we're building. We'll start by prompting AI, and then we're going to test our application. We might try and break it. We might get an error and have to debug that app. But once we do and have a working version, we'll get to a checkpoint. Maybe we don't get any error, and we can just go straight from testing to our checkpoint. But the next step is to do this all over again. So it looks like we prompt to get our MVP or feature, then we test that out, we hit an error, debug it, fix it, or we don't, and then we move on to our next MVP or feature. And this sort of feedback loop, this sort of cycle, is largely the pattern that I follow when I'm building with AI. So now let's jump right into it. We'll give a quick walkthrough of Replit and start with our first project. So before we jump into our application, I just want to quickly walk through how to get to this screen. And in order to see this page, this homepage, all you have to do is create an account on Replit.com. You can use your Gmail, you can use another account, you can use the email and password. Very simple. And you'll land right here. And this is our homepage, this is our overview page. You can see it's very chat first. So this is where we'll type our prompts to interact with agent. But anytime you want to manage your applications, we have a side pane where you can see all the apps you've made, the apps you've deployed. You can look at your usage, edit your settings, or otherwise manage your account. But let's get started building.
For everything, bro. Oh. So with the starter version, I can have 10 public apps. Limited agent access. Okay, okay. Okay, so is it like every... Wonder how many cards you start with. Gotcha. Alright. Not sure how much I'm going to use the app right now, but right now is a good time to start formulating on what exactly my first project is going to be with this new vibe coding. What problems do I have that I want to solve? I think one idea that would be great is saving some time on getting informed through, just learning about the state of the world, gathering some tech news, all that stuff. Because I watch a ton of YouTube. Watch a ton. Oh! Yikes, that was my mouse. Hold up. Jesus Christ. And I'm back. Alright, yeah. What I was saying is, yeah. So I spent a lot of time, watching YouTube, surfing the web, and basically, I used to do a lot of doom scrolling, maybe not too much right now, but, just spend a lot of time just, getting informed. Really just wasting time. So, what if I can have a centralized app that gathers all the information, news that I find relevant to my own life? I think that would be useful and a good starter project. So let's figure out what an MVP would look like. MVP. Let me do no, I can. I'll do it in the same one. Same note. I'll say personal news aggregator. And do I just want it to pull all the information in one source? Maybe the version 1 would just pull all the information to one source, but I think the full product would also give an overall summary of the piece of information with my own kind of like perspective. Like only like there's a big piece of media, but like how much of that information is really relevant to what I want to know about? How about it just gives me the information that's relevant to why I'm even going to that content? So I would say aggregator and summarizer. Summarizer. Okay. So to start, what I'm just gonna brainstorm of what exactly this would do. How exactly? So is it gonna be a desktop app? That'd be really cool if it was on the phone too. Desktop and phone application, or like a web app. Maybe have a. It would be really cool if it had like a voice or like like a recreated video content of just like, let's say it's like a my own, not even like a clone of me, but a digital agent that's like a human, like my own personal news anchor, pretty much. Personal news anchor. And then it will summarize in my own style that's, that's highly consumable to me. Okay. And then also within those summaries, let's say after each key piece of information, because we're dealing with LLMs, how about it gives like timestamps and links to what the hell that they're talking about, so there's no like mix up and I can verify that information as well or dig deeper. um Links, and what is it called? Wow, it's been a while since I took English. That word is literally leaving my mind. Um, and sources of information. Oh, citing. gives links and sites where information is gathered. Mm-mm-mm. Cool, cool, cool. Um, what else? I think if it had those core features, it would be pretty good to have. At least for me, it would save time. Like if I just had this, could check on it every, let's say, 3 days or whatever, and then, let's say I just didn't feel the need to keep on scrolling to find more news like I need it, it will be way easier to like catch myself because I probably still have an urge to scroll because it's really more of a like impulse. But now it's like, oh, I really don't need to scroll, on Instagram or on YouTube. If I really want to be informed, then I can just go on this news app that's customized for me. Gotcha. Okay. I think this is worthy of, full sending on. Personal news anchor. Because isn't that what news anchors do? Or at least like the whole media system does? They aggregate and then they summarize the news for you, like what happened. So we're just gonna call it a personal news anchor. Cool. And what would that MVP look like? Just doing it simply. Um, let's just say like one topic. Parses articles looking for articles like pieces of media that are relevant to that topic, and then use LLM to summarize content and give a link to the source. Gotcha. And looking for the most up to date content. So let's say it updates daily. And has some sort of, should I put a database in the MVP? I mean, it is gonna have a database regardless, but like an archive. Archive of past news, and then a space to record thoughts. Is that really necessary? I might have to take that out. I don't think it really needs to record my thoughts. One topic parses articles looking for pieces of media that are relevant to said topic. uses an LLM to summarize the content and give link to the source. I think the easiest method would be to go through text or, well, yeah, text. So that means I'm starting off with articles and, videos that have a transcript attached to them. Updates daily, sure. Let's do it like certain time of the day. It, does a search and updates, and it puts every day those summaries and that news into an archive, so a database in like a chronological structure. Okay. Let's go to ChatGPT and get a product requirements document. Let's make one of those. Oh yeah, here's my little one trick to get better answers from GPT. I use this little template. Let me get it. Let me reach into my drive. Alright, where is it? Prompt engineering template. Copy. Alright. Oops, I did it twice. So role. I want ChatGPT to pretend to be embody, say like a business strategist, a product developer, embody the role of an experienced product developer and CTO with 20 plus years. Request. Ultimately, I want actionable print, actionable steps to create a product, requirements document for a MVP of an app the user is going to create. System level instruction. Search relevant. Use the web and search for relevant articles that have helpful information. Summarize and synthesize a step-by-step plan to develop a product. Requirement document. Ask five questions to get the most crucial information for developing the app, the project. Context. Okay. User wants to make a personal news anchor application to save time surfing. On topics. User wants to make a personal news anchor application to save time surfing the web to stay informed on relevant topics. User is employing a vibe coding strategy to develop the app using tools such as Replit, Python language. I'm most familiar. Replit. Yeah. I want the app. User wants the app to gather relevant news from the internet, summarize in the user's perspective, and cite where they got the information from to save time and energy staying informed. User wants to start with an MVP that pulls one topic from one news source, starting off with just text. Output format in a way a beginner can easily follow. Bullet points and brief instructions with brief reasons why to follow them in the specific order. That's how I like getting my instructions. constraints. Uh, nah, I don't need constraints right now. Alright, GPT, show me what you can do. Show me what you can do. Alright. Does space thing not work? There you go. Boom. To create a product requirements document for your MVP, we'll break it down into a clear, actionable step-by-step guide, keeping it beginner friendly and practical for your situation, building with Replit and Python. I'll also ask a few questions to help you refine the scope and ensure that MVP addresses your core needs. Here's a synthesized guide based on my experience as a CTO and product developer. Step by step guide to creating a PRD for your personal news anchor app MVP. 1. Define the problem and the vision. What's the problem? User wastes time searching for relevant news. Yes, that is me. Overload of information and noise. Yes, that's a real problem. What's the solution? An app that summarizes and presents news tailored to the user's interest. MVP goal: gather news from one topic and one source. Provide a concise, readable summary. Cite the source for credibility. Why? This gives you a clear foundation for your app's purpose. Understanding the problem helps keep the development focused on your end goal. Sounds about right? 2. Define your target audience. Who are the users? Busy professionals? Tech savvy individuals who want updates without reading full articles? Age group? Interests? User pain points. What do they struggle with while consuming news? Why? Helps you shape the functionality and the user interface based on who will be using the app, ensuring it solves their specific problems. Identify core features for MVP. Start small. Prioritize simplicity. For your MVP, the core features might be topic selection. Let users select a specific topic. AI, news, sports, etc. News gathering. Integrate a reliable news API. Like news API, for example, to pull articles. Okay, I'm gonna need to look into how to use APIs, but all that stuff. Summarization, yeah, source citation. Well, step 3, identify core features that it needs. Okay. Why? This focuses on the critical functionality required to demonstrate value. The goal is to test the concept and get user feedback with minimal effort. 4. Define user flow and interface. Sketch out a basic user journey for how they. Ooh, I think that's actually really important because as like a fully fledged application, I want the user journey to first start out with an LLM agent asking the user to construct a whole worldview for the agent to use, and that agent will use that worldview to one, search for the relevant pieces of information, but also how to digest that information for the user. Essentially, like your own algorithm, if that makes sense. But I like that. And also the interface, how it's designed, how it's supposed to look. Technical requirements and stack. List the technical components you need for the MVP. Backend language, Python. I'm probably going to be using the libraries it will need. Beautiful soup, probably. 6. MVP success metrics. Define what success looks like for your MVP. User engagement, speed and accuracy, feedback. Okay, what does, just brainstorming, what would success look like? Um, well, definitely want to maintain accuracy of the actual information. If it's not accurate, it'll just blow the whole entire thing up. It'll be worthless. Um, I don't think speed matters a whole lot as long as, it gets updated every day. So I'd say accuracy matters. The actual engagement, like if it needs to pull uh sources of information that's actually relevant to what the user wants and is like looking to consume pretty much. Maybe we can prime the LLM or those models to, or by asking the user what content do they already watch and would, click on without even like thinking twice. Create a timeline and milestones. Okay, okay. Test the MVP. Okay, okay. Key questions to answer for your PRD. Top 3 topics you want to prioritize. What specific user actions will be supported? Okay, okay, that makes sense. How will the app handle new sources? Will you filter out unreliable sources? Ooh. How how will I make sure to filter out untrustworthy news systems? Because I actually don't want to create a biased app, but I don't want this app to be spreading propaganda. I'm not even sure if that can be avoided. Hmm, that's a good question. Do you need any language localization? I'm doing English only to start. How will you gather and act on user feedback post-launch? Surveys, feedback forms? I don't know yet. This PRD framework ensures you're building with clarity and purpose while keeping things manageable. Mm. Mm-hmm. Alright. I'm actually going to take a small break, but now I'm going to learn how to do that on the stream using OBS. Let me do a simple one. Image, 1 hour stream break, GIF. Maybe someday I'll have a custom one. Yep, Isaiah's Anything Media. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, alright, alright. I'm doing this on the fly. Window capture. Yep, 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 yep. Yep. Boom. Alright, I'm gonna take a break. See you in 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get a drink. Mhm. If I can figure out how to get this other. Boom. I'll put 10. 10. And then Alright, alright. We're coming back. We're coming back. Cool. Oh, it is that same one. Let me put back up the notes. Window capture. Boom. No, 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 not an opera. Notepad. Yep. Alright, that's good. Alright, audio good. Video good. Desktop good. Cool. We're back. I just took a dump. Didn't need to know that, but now you do. And I feel great. Alright, so before this stream ends, what do I want to get done? I want to get at least the first draft of a products requirement document for the MVP of this new project. This personal news anchor. Yeah. Alright, so let's answer these questions then. I need to add some music or something. No, those aren't questions. Key questions. Yep. I think if I play my music in Chrome, or if I just go through Spotify, I don't think it'll go to the stream. Because I don't think I can play this music on stream, even though I want to. I'm gonna listen to some Kanye. Graduation. Good morning. Oh no, it is playing. Let me turn that off. Yeah, it can't be doing that. It's too early to get strikes. it's muted. All you can hear is my voice. Cool. Is it going through my mic? Alright, no. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Music's on. Alright. Time to grind. Good morning. Consider these questions. What are the top three topics you want the app to prioritize for the MVP? Topics for me what will be most useful is technology, let's say US politics. US politics, yeah, yeah. I would say like White House updates, like legal changes. Yeah, I would say White House updates. Don't really care about sports. What I look at most, technology, White House. Not really a sports fan, really. Guess I would just those two. Yeah, I'll just have those two. Help refine. Okay. What specific user actions should be supported? Setting topic preferences. Well, definitely. Yeah, that's crucial. Um, um, Personalized summary of information. Saving favorites. Mm, Maybe like a hot list. News to go back to. Yeah, I would say those. Topic preferences, a personalized summary, and hot listing the piece of news that you want to go back to. Yeah. How will the app handle news sources? Will you filter out unreliable sources? See, that's the thing. Um, I think it'll be best if the user themselves blacklist news. Oh, that can be a feature too. Blacklist the news sources they don't want to really hear from. Uh, like I can, let's say, as the creator of this app, blacklist maybe notorious, sources of information that's like propaganda that consensus agrees on. Um, I'm not too sure how to not be biased with that though. Or maybe instead of filtering out unreliable sources, we just go with what sources of information will the user want to get information from, so we don't have to blacklist or blacklist as much. So the user opts in. Mhm. Is my camera even on? Yo, I'm so sorry that my camera looks like that. Shit anymore. Yo, that was so unflattering. Hold up. Over. Never over. Why is this not working? Why you know work camera? Do it faster, make it stronger. I hope I didn't break it. I see no lights. What did I do? Harder, bit faster, stronger. Kill me. Kill me, make me stronger. You hurry up now, 'cause I can't wait much longer. Be right. Never over. Never over. I'm having technical difficulties. My camera is shut off and is being unresponsive right now. I didn't use it that much. Guess I've had it for a while though. Cause I need it for school too. Is that the end? For real? Faster, stronger. The realities of streaming as a beginner. Technical difficulties. Who would have expected this? Alright, I know what to do. Instead of a video of me, you don't need to see my face. You can hear me, and I'm going to add a character that's going to represent me. And you're gonna like it. You know, I can just add my headshot. There you go. Look at that beautiful face. Boom. Alright, that's just gonna have to do for now. My camera died. Now, where was I? The user manually opts in to the news sources they want to get information from. Yep. Um, yeah, that kind of solves the problem of, not being biased as a creator of the app and giving more autonomy and control to the user. Yeah. Do you need any language localization? Yeah, English only. How do you gather and act on user feedback post-launch? I would say, yeah, I would say surveys. Doesn't seem that bad. Alright, how do I want to use this information to form another prompt to push myself forward? What do I want it to do? What do I want it to do? With this information, can I draft the product required? Like, let's just make a template. Draft first version template that leaves a lot that leaves room for the user to um, add their own input. Draft, say PRD, template that leaves room. Yeah, I think that should be good. And I'm actually going to snag an example from this YouTuber that's really cool. Yeah, go follow this person. She's really good. Boom, Tina Huang. Vibe coding. Um, my money right. Mm. La, I get my money right. Me nothing. Something. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. Mm, 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 mm.
Andy from Ozcat Radio. Make sure you tune in
Yo,
at 7
what is
p.m.
that?
right here to catch a wonderful show with Talkin' Schmidt. Hey, look, I am just the human that is on camera. It takes an entire community to make this show work. And right now,
Hey, yo,
I'm gonna
I don't
shout
know
out
what that was
community.
playing.
We seriously, sincerely could not do what we are doing without the goth goddess of San Francisco.
Oh, this is complex. Dude, that scared me. Wait, Doug's on this? Or did she raid? Yeah, she raided. Okay. That was so weird. Technical requirements. Python as a primary language. Might need to know how to do API calls and or web scraping. Probably, most likely web scraping. So that means, knowing how to use beautiful soup, where I go through the replit. And then I use some platform for the text summarization. And then another tool for the front end. Okay. What's new source API? I've seen that way too much, so I don't know what that is. Dude, I just want to look at the free version. Can I just look at that? 2,000 searches. Okay, has access to global news sources. Basic article data. Okay, okay. Yeah, maybe I'll use an API like this. Yeah. Alright. Maybe, maybe. And use Replit for hosting. Oh, yeah. Maybe. Yeah, at least during the MVP phase, yeah. Week 1, set up backend, integrate news API, test scouting articles based on topics. Week 2, implement the summarization functionality. And then UI. Do you want the app to support multiple users or will it be a single application at first? Single user application. This will determine whether or not. Oh, hold up. Mm, maybe a hierarchy? Nah. Yeah, that makes sense. Summarization: use a Python-based text summarization tool or model to generate concise summaries of news articles. Um. Hmm. How would that be like? Really? The graph-based action that makes sense is based on their importance? Hmm. Identifies important words based on the frequency. Nah. Term frequency inverse document. Nah. Nah. Like I can only see it using LLM. Text rank. Hmm. Uh. Like I might need to use API calls to LLMs. I think I'm gonna use an LLM instead of whatever Python thing the ChatGPT suggests. Yeah, like an LLM with a user specific context to, personalize how the information's presented. Um, what exactly, like, what pieces of the user's worldview? think I'm close to the finish line. Let me just. And right now I am forming the document to put the PRD in. I'm just gonna put in the Google Docs. New source integration, integrate multiple trusted sources for the given topic. MVP pull articles from a set of predefined sources. Yep, yep, yep. Content personalization. Use out LLM to personalize the news summaries based on user-defined worldview document. Yep, yep, yep. Hi. As a user, I want the news summaries to reflect my personal interest and worldview to ensure relevance. News summarization. Utilize the LLM to summarize news articles based on the user's perspective. The LLM will process articles and deliver concise, relevant summaries. Yep. Citation. Provide citation at the end of each summary to ensure credibility and transparency. Yep. And also 2. User interaction UI. Yeah, maybe there would be like some additional system to make sure that the information is actually a part of the cited source, like an additional check. User avatar will be document. Because I don't want the AI to hallucinate, and that might, lead to propaganda, Image accuracy, speed. I think this is usable as a draft, and I'll just tweak it from there. Yep, I think I'm gonna call it for the day, at least for creating this PRD. I think I'm calling it a success for the day. I am satisfied with the work so far. And one of the next streams for the vibe coding and chill is going to be on the next step developing this project. So it's 2 o'clock. I should head to bed, but I do wanna hop on the game. So I'm gonna do that. Got my PRD saved. Don't need notepad. Got my music. I actually don't want to stream the game. My camera's off anyways. So I'm gonna call it peace. It was fun. Bye.